and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where your boys always have something to say with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playalong.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, we've got the latest Alek Manoah updates. He could be on his way back to the Toronto Blue Jays in the next couple weeks. Before we get into exactly how we think this is going to happen, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. All right, so, Alek Manoah has only been sent down for like a little bit less than a month right now, and there's already rumblings that he could be on his way back, and that day could be Canada Day, Nick. Is that shocking you that it could be this fast?
Yeah, it absolutely is, because I think what a lot of people, myself included, thought when he went down, this was going to be an extended period of absence, and that's what everyone was saying, right? John Schneider effectively came out and said he's going to be down there as long as he needs to be. So the exciting part for me is that if he is going to come up on Canada Day, I'm hoping that that's all he needed, and that potentially in the 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I forget exactly how long it's been, that he's been down there, maybe he did figure something out, right? Because if they are true to their word, when he comes back, he should be ready to go.
Yeah, because you don't want to bring him up and have him not ready, and then his whole confidence gets absolutely destroyed again, being shelled. But honestly, at this point, I think the Blue Jays just need him back, because we've seen the struggle so far with the Blue Jays just operating with a 4-man rotation.
Totally.
You know, we haven't gone out, we haven't got anybody to go replace that 5th spot, so we've been really damaged in our bullpen.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, the good news is, folks, when Alek Manoah does come back, we're no longer going to need to run with that four-pitcher bullpen. And also, too, you got that reinforcement of Hyun-Jin Ryu coming back as well. Let's get right into this report really quickly, just looking at how this is possible and whatnot. So, Arden Zwelling coming out here and saying that the Blue Jays are planning to keep their 4-man rotation rolling through the weekend. He gives the probables for Oakland, and then goes on to say that with off days on either side of this weekend series versus Oakland, Blue Jays can roll with the 4-man rotation through the end of the month. Next time they'll need a 5th starter is July 1st versus Boston. And when we go over to the, just scroll back to the MLB trade rumors one up there to the left there. These guys, they kind of piggyback on that, and then they go on to say that Manoah could be back with the Jays by July 1st if all goes well, because he's going to be throwing a simulated outing and doing all that. So effectively, if he's good in his simulated game, and based on our schedule, that would be the prime time to have him come back and play against Boston.
Yeah, exactly. He's basically got 2 more of these, like 1 more simulated and then 1 against live batters. So the simulated one is supposed to be today, so we'll obviously be updating you on how that's going. You'll probably see it as well yourself. But then you got the 26th would be his next 5-day, everyone's working in a 5-day calendar for these starting pitchers. The next 5th day will be on the 26th. That's where he's supposed to be facing some live batters. And if that all goes well, they're definitely those levels of those batters are definitely not as good as the major leagues.
For sure.
But if he still executes his pitches and they think he looks good, yeah, like you're saying, Canada Day, on July 1st. Now, my biggest worry, Canada Day in Toronto is a big deal. Lots of people are going to be showing up. It's going to be a packed house, sellout crowd. Do you think that's going to be a little bit too bright for Alek Manoah to make his return?
Yeah, it is a tough one, man. Up until this point, I would say absolutely not, because he's always been that dog, and he looks for those moments, right? Like, this is the type of guy that wants to be in the limelight, that wants the spotlight shining on him. Let's face it, he's got a bit of an ego on him, right? Now that he's kind of been knocked down a few steps, it's tough to say how he's going to respond to that adversity. I'm just trusting that the management knows best here, and they recognize that bringing him back and having him get shelled when he's not 100% ready, that's the worst case scenario, because it's in times like that where you send somebody down and then you rush them back in, because you think you need them, that their whole careers can be on the line, right? Like, I think he's fine now and I think he's good for the future, but if you bring him up again and he gets shelled again and then you need to send him down again, that's when it really starts to factor in and cause a problem for the future. So I am truly trusting this management to know that if he's coming back, it needs to be he's ready.
Yeah, because you have to play that fine balance between he's ready and we actually desperately need arms.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because our bullpen ERA since sending him down is 5.01.
Yes,
so
it's been rough.
It's been really rough.
Been rough. And in those bullpen days, guys, we've only had 2 of them so far. But we have lost both of them, right? Yeah. And it's very tough, because there's been a few occasions where you're seeing we send out all these guys, and then the following day or the day before that, you have one of your starters get shelled. And then you get into this situation where it's like, well, we really need to have arms right now. We need somebody to pitch, but we don't have anybody. Or you also enter into this situation where it's a really tight game and you want to have bullpen arms, but you can't play them anymore. So then you're throwing in, the Jimmy Garcias of the world in situations that you just do not want to be putting them into.
Yeah, and even a direct example is like Trevor Richards, right? Because he is the guy who does a lot of that bullpen day. And you saw situations where we could have used Trevor Richards' disgusting wipeout changeup, and we just didn't have him. Now, this is actually a nice little transition because we saw Trevor Richards in the Miami series in this last game.
Yeah.
And we were able to see him because, he was rested, and we're not going to be doing a bullpen day because of the off day on Thursday. So let's take a look back at this Miami series.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years or older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Thank God. Thank God that we got the series win. Because we were both here, and I mean, sure, a lot of you in the comments as well were saying, if they lose this series, Schneider's gone, Ross Atkins could be gone, Guillermo Martinez gone, maybe even Pete Walker gone, but they got the win, so everyone's jobs, they're safe.
For now, right? I mean, but Monday night was rock bottom, guys. 11-0, getting absolutely destroyed. And we need to give a massive shout out here to Yusei Kikuchi. He's having a little bit of a redemption story right now. It's not sexy like so I don't even know, like Brandon Belts is or something who's really popping off.
Yeah.
But it's good enough, right? It's good enough, and he's stepping up when we need him to. He's got a 3.97 ERA, which is way better than what he did last year. Last year, it was a guaranteed L, right? But at least this year, he's coming out and he's giving us a little bit of length. Adam was talking about a great stat the other day and saying that he's never had an outing this season below 4 innings.
Yeah,
and
incredible.
Even though not all of his outings are incredible, I see a few, 6 earned runs there, 4 earned runs, right? That's definitely not great, but at the very least, you're not taxing our bullpen. And this past week, he goes 6.
Yeah.
He does an exceptional performance, right? He really limits them. And it gave the offense an opportunity when they were cold as hell to come out and to win that game. So credit where credit is due to Yusei freaking Kikuchi, man.
We needed it, man. And then, as you were just seeing there, his last few months, or his last month, excuse me, no Alek Manoah, he's really stepped up, like you said.
Yeah.
And another guy that we actually really need to step up, because ever since April, he hasn't been the same guy. Once it turned May, he was a different guy, and that was Matty Ice.
Yeah.
He basically fell off the face of the earth, and thank goodness he also had a great series in this Miami outing down in South Beach. He had 4 hits, a home run, which we haven't seen a lot of from Matty Ice or the Toronto Blue Jays. So you're starting to see some of that power come back. He had a few doubles in there. So that's an encouraging sign, especially if this guy is going to be an all-star. I feel less embarrassed if he were to ramp up and be elite.
He needs to, man, because the second that the calendar switched over to May, this has not been the same player. And it's been frankly embarrassing. I mean, I've been seeing people tweet out that how much money is Matt Chapman losing himself every at-bat. And it's for real, right? Because it has looked ugly. So if we can get him going and get a little bit more action in that middle of the lineup, that is going to be crucial, because as we've been saying, folks, this next stretch of ball is super important.
Yes, it is.
You have the Yankees struggling right now. I mean, the Yankee fans, they're calling for Aaron Boone's head, just like we're calling for John Schneider's.
Yeah.
That is happening right now, and yet they are still ahead of us, right? Their schedule is not nearly as favorable as our schedule is in the next 2 to 3 weeks before the All-Star break. We have 15 games against below 500 teams. This is where we need to capitalize.
Now the one thing is we are up against.
Oh, they may actually be above
the
500
Giants.
at this point.
This is just classic Blue Jays.
Jesus
You know what I mean? Right when we're we're getting to our good stretch, you have the Giants on a 9-1 run in their last 10 games, well above 500.
They were below 500 like a week and a half
ago, right? So they're going to be some tough competition. The A's thankfully have cooled off because they were on a big stretch at one point.
Yeah.
The Red Sox are starting to get hot as well. well because they swept the Yankees recently, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. So, great. So I know you're saying like, below 500 teams, but then we get into the real below by 500 with the White Sox and the Tigers. So it's better than what we have been experiencing in the last 6 weeks. So we do need, honestly, Alek Manoah to come back to help us through these times and hope that he can even be something of his previous self, because that's better than having nothing in that spot.
Absolutely, right? Now, I do also predict, folks, like if there's rumors going on right now that Alek Manoah could potentially come back for July 1st, that's phenomenal, right? Like that is really good. But even if he doesn't come back there, just having those rumors out there is positive, and potentially after the All-Star break, right? Like that is also a really good time too, right? Everyone can reset. You can bring him up, you can get a little bit of time, and then you can get him rolling, and you don't need to have those bright lights of Canada today, So like that could be something that would mean that we do need to roll with the bullpen day a little bit longer, but you got to do what you got to do. You got to navigate, right?
Do you think there's a reality where maybe Ross Atkins maybe not makes a trade, but just like pick somebody up? Because I mean, if I'm a general manager and I see what's going on here and my bullpen's getting taxed, how could I possibly keep rolling with that?
Well,
I need reinforcements.
I'm really surprised that we haven't heard more rumors about Zach Plesac.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's like you're not picking him up to be an incredible starter. No. You're literally just picking him up in hopes that he can give you 4 or 5 innings.
That's it.
If he gives you 4 or 5 innings of 3, even 4 earned run ball, you're actually thanking yourself right now, because at the very least that means that you can play Trevor Richards and you can play these other guys the next day or the following day.
Yeah.
Right?
And,
That's it.
Or you can play guys after him that can actually shut people down, because we've seen it time and time again in this stretch, like Swanson on back-to-back days. Like anybody on back-to-back days does not perform as well as they did the day before.
Yes.
So we need to have these guys rest. That's the main important thing.
Absolutely, guys. So the positive note is that Alek Manoah could potentially be coming back soon. If he does continue to struggle, look for the Blue Jays to be very active come trade deadline for starting pitchers. I think even if he is coming back, we're still going to be active, because now that we've been down this road, we know that the depth is thin, everybody. If anybody gets injured or goes on a rough stretch or anything like that, we are in trouble. But also, Hyun-Jin Ryu very soon. So the reinforcements could be coming back to the Jays any day.
Gotta love it. Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below about Alek Manoah and everything that we talked about in this video, including the upcoming stretch. And please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And shout out to all of our Patreon members. You guys are awesome. And shout out to all of our YouTube members as well. You guys are super dope.
Thank you so much for watching.
And go Jays, go!